I think I titled my Steam Deck review "One Major Bug from Perfect." And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of update you on, one, what that major bug was for me, which I haven't seen a ton of people dealing with, but there were some threads I came across. And two, how I think, fingers very much crossed, that I may have resolved this particular big issue for me. If you haven't seen the full review, I'll drop a link to it in the description. It's about 13 minutes long. It's relatively in depth, so definitely go check that out first if you want to hear the original story of that bug. But for now, we'll talk about it again here. So what was the bug I was dealing with? Well, basically, what was happening to me with some frequency was I would be using my Steam Deck. I would finish up a play session, and as it is a handheld, and this is really how these things fit into my play style, my life the best. Maybe I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, I get to a certain spot where I'm done, I hit the power button and I put it down. The great thing about this is that I can then go and pick it up, hit the power button, and just continue playing. It's mind-blowing. For me, that's what makes a handheld great. It's not necessarily that it's portable. It's that I can play in chunks. I can play 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there without having to load the whole game up every time on my computer that I want to play and waste 2-3 minutes loading up Horizon on my computer or on a console. That pick up and play thing is what makes the Steam Deck, what makes the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation Portable, the PlayStation Vita. That's what made those things devices that I really loved. So what would happen is I would pick up my Steam Deck, I would hit my power button to wake it up from its sleep, and what would happen is I would see it connecting to Wi-Fi, and then almost immediately it would shut down. Black screen. I'd hit the power button, usually nothing would happen. I'd hit the power button again, and it would pop up like it was rebooting, but it would actually say verifying installation. This reboot process would take a really long time, and then I would be back at my main menu, and I would have lost however much progress from the last time I saved, basically. And it was extremely frustrating. It was happening to me not every time I came out of sleep, but like maybe once a day. Sometimes twice a day. So I was just basically getting into the mindset of, well, I can't put this thing to sleep until I get to a place to save, which kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm talking about. That ability to just put it down whenever you're done playing and resume right there. Well, I have to go save it anyways. I'm still saving time on the resume, but then it might crash and then I gotta wait even longer. So again, it's nullifying for me its best feature. So I started trying all kinds of things. I'm probably gonna forget some of the things that I tried, but I went into my settings and I was just toggling different settings. I thought something that could relate to waking up, right? So what happens when you wake the device up? What is happening? And what can I possibly change? So I removed my SD card. I uninstalled every game but like one game. I think I even had like no games on it for a while and just tried like taking it in and out of sleep. None of these things worked. I went to the support thing, so I chatted with Steam support. They told me to try doing something where you turned it off and you put it into some kind of like battery mode. Or I did the steps that they told me. That did not fix it. And then they said try re-imaging it, which is basically wiping the thing, reinstalling SteamOS and starting over. And I did that as well. I did everything I could possibly think of to fix this issue to no avail. It continued happening. And then I noticed something. Maybe I'd noticed it before, but it clicked in my head a little bit. I started noticing that when I would wake it up, it would connect to Wi-Fi, but something else would happen. My computer here that I'm filming this on, I'd get a pop-up that would say Steam Deck now available for remote play. And I thought, well, that's something that's happening when it wakes up. It's waking up and it's setting up this remote play thing. So I went into the settings on my Steam Deck and I disabled remote play. Now, luckily, this is a very simple thing to do. You're just going to go into your settings and then you go to, I believe, is it in system? It's in remote play. It's got its own section. So scroll down to remote play and I just turned it off. And from there, the strangest thing happened. It stopped happening. I stopped having this issue. I think I played for like 3 days. I was still very careful, whatever I was playing, to save before I put it into the sleep mode. But I was coming back out of sleep and I wasn't crashing. I think I went 3 days, which before 3 days would have been, somewhere between 3 and 6 crashes. I got 0. But at the end of that third day, I got one more crash just like that. And I thought, well, that's very strange, right? Like it seems to have solved it mostly, but it's still happening just a little bit. And then something else occurred to me. My Wi-Fi is done with this thing called a Netgear Orbi mesh. And so there's one router router, and then there's another satellite router that's somewhere else in the house. My house is not a mansion, but it's a 2-story house, and it's relatively large, and it's very old, and the walls, I think, are lined with lead because Wi-Fi signal in this place is dreadful. So I have to have a satellite to have coverage, and I've got lots of cameras around the house, and so I have a mesh system. Well, the thing about this mesh system that is occasionally played wrong, or played poorly would be a better way to say it, with some other devices, is the fact that it is 2.4 gigahertz, but it's also 5 gigahertz. And the weird thing about it is that it's only one connection, and it will intelligently switch, right? So if I'm here in this room where the router is, right over there, I'll be on 5 gigahertz, which is much faster, but it's shorter range. Now, if I go out to my backyard, it will detect that signal getting weaker, and it will switch me to 2.4 gigahertz, which is slower, but has much better range. So it automatically switches. So I've had some devices that weren't 5 gigahertz compatible that would tell me, hey, we can't connect to this Wi-Fi because it's the wrong kind of Wi-Fi. We don't have the capability to do this. It played poorly with some devices. I don't know why this even occurred to me, but I just thought, let's just rule something else out. I know it's something to do with remote play or maybe the internet. Those are the only two things that are happening when you're waking it up that I've not already ruled out. So what I did is I went into my settings and I disabled Wi-Fi completely. So there's no wireless on this device at all at this point. And guess what? I went like a full week without any crashes at all. So this has got me very confused. Like, it's something to do with the Wi-Fi and it's something to do with the internet. I still don't have a good answer for this question. I'm just telling you, I'm just reporting to you what has happened. Now, I'm also running another small experiment. You see, I have a modem, right? So my internet comes through the wall and it goes into a modem supplied by my internet service provider. And it has the ability to do either a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection or a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. They are both disabled. Ethernet cable goes from that into Orbi. Orbi handles the Wi-Fi. Well, I thought, let's do an experiment. I thought maybe it's something to do with 5 gigahertz, something to do with that Wi-Fi, or something to do with being on the edge, because sometimes I'd be in the living room and it would happen. So maybe it's like kind of on the edge and it doesn't know which one to use, and that throws it off and that confuses it. So I turned on the 2.4 gigahertz connection from my modem and connected the Steam Deck to that, and I was able to go another like 3 or 4 days with no crashes, Wi-Fi turned on. For the last 2 days, I disabled the 2.4 and enabled the 5 gigahertz, so it's just 5 or nothing, connected to that, still no crashes. So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer to you in terms of what is actually happening. Maybe some intelligent people in the comments will have an explanation for this, but what I can tell you is that with remote play disabled and not connected to a Wi-Fi connection that switches, I'm having a gas pain. It's probably not a heart attack. Feels kind of like a heart attack though, but I think I'm okay. Let it pass. Just ate a big hamburger. I'm sorry. We'll continue. We're going to push through. All I can tell you is that with remote play off and being connected to a Wi-Fi connection that does not intelligently switch, it's one or the other, I am not having these waking from standby crashes. And I am absolutely elated by this because it restores for me the thing that makes the Steam Deck really, really good. My review was titled One Bug from Perfect, right? Well, get rid of the bug, and I'm basically calling it perfect. And in a lot of ways, it is. I have loved playing games on this thing so much lately. It is so good. If you asked me, would I rather have my Nintendo Switch or this? I'm taking this. This has more games that I want to play at this point in my life. It's more flexible. It's more fun to tinker with. And now that this bug, fingers very much crossed, seems to be fixed, I absolutely adore this thing. I want to hear from you guys, though. Smart people in the world, please help me understand what is going on here. I've given you all the information I could possibly think of to give, so let's talk about it in the comments. Maybe this was a bug happening to you, and my suggestions have helped you as well. If that is the case, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe if I didn't already just say that. I can't remember what I said 24 seconds ago. I'll see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.